Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful day today. In my opinion, I was very disappointed when Dead by Daylight's Walking Dead chapter didn't actually have a killer. So, in today's video, I'll be showing you how Negan Smith, arguably The Walking Dead's biggest villain, could be implemented into DBD. From his power and design all the way down to his animations and perks. Of course, spoilers ahead for The Walking Dead show. Now, to start, a killer comes with 7 things. A name beginning with the word the, a weapon, a bio, perks, a mori, plentiful animations, and of course, a power. First, his name. This one's pretty simple. Negan rules a group called the Saviors, so his name would just be the Savior. Now for his weapon. This one is also incredibly easy. It would be Lucille, the bat he uses his entire time on the show. And plus, this thing is absolutely terrifying and it works really well for a killer. Now, for the record, by bio, I mean when he will be taken by the entity in context of the show. So for this one, it would be right after his introduction, that being this scene right here. Now, I know that seems a little early, but it's when he seems the most evil and sadistic, considering he just bashed in two of the most favorited characters' heads in. Now for the perks. These took me a while to do and are not perfect by any sort of standards, so just kind of bear with me here for a second. The first perk I call Guts in reference to when he kills Spencer in Season 7. This perk, after 2 hooks, you could press some sort of button to step on the downed survivor and prevent them from being picked up. Well, of course, they won't lose any bleed out timer, but they'll be prevented from being picked up by any other teammate for between 30 to 45 seconds, depending on the level of the perk. See, the thing about the perks that I actually came up with is that I also somewhat designed a perk icon for them. So for this one, it would probably be about this, and this one's a little, yeah, imagine if Lucille was just a lot bigger in the thing, but this is in reference to the carving onto some of Negan's guns that show Lucille. So, yeah, I tried to make it bigger, but I'm not an artist, guys. So, again, bear with me. Now for a second perk. This is the one that I call That Is Now Mine. After breaking 2 pallets, you can now basic attack on a pallet to instantly break it at the cost of being 20% hindered for 3 seconds. Something basic that allows you to break pallets really fast, kind of like the new Myers dash, like his slaughtering strike and how it breaks the pallet and it looks like a basic attack. And although I didn't really write it down in my notes, what I mean by that is that you'll have to break 2 pallets every time you want to use the perk, so it's not even going to be close to being meta, but it could still catch some survivors off guard, you know? The perk icon for this one, the perk icon, yeah, that one, it's supposed to be Negan kind of like looking upwards, of course, as you could see in the thing, but there's no way that I'm going to try to draw this man without absolutely butchering him, so I just pasted in an image. You guys get the idea, though. See, the third perk here is one that I call Hex Death Whistle. It's in reference to the whistle that Negan and the Saviors do whenever they're about to either kill or intimidate somebody. A totem at the beginning of the trial is lit, and you can see its aura as a survivor within around 8 meters. Not too sure on what the distances should be, but I just gave kind of like a educated guess, you know. Every time a survivor fast vaults within 16 meters of you, your next lunge is going to be 75% longer with no cooldown, which is, of course, why it's a hex. This one's perk icon is, it's, yeah, it's supposed to be a vault with a skull behind it, saying that you kind of die if you vault, you know? But I feel like that's probably the best drawing that I've done in a while. Now is when things kind of get creative and brutal and more complicated. Now we're getting to the Savior's Mori. And see, this one, it's almost a one-to-one recreation of a scene in the show around when he was taken, if you kind of get what I'm putting down. So, envision this. The survivor is in the dying state, and they kind of sit up onto their knees as they're trying to kind of, not get away, but they're kind of in defeat. They sit up onto their knees, and then Negan, he swings the bat over his head and hits them on the head. They then sit up, and they're gonna look, here, content warning, you know, the trigger warning or whatever, it's brutal image coming up. They're gonna look like this, which is Glenn from the show, who has his eyeball kind of literally smacked out of his skull, which Yes, that is exactly what happens in the scene. So their survivor is going to kind of look like that with their eye bulging out, which I gave my my best attempt at a drawing right here, which you guys know Dead by Daylight's graphics. It's gonna look almost exactly like this. And this clip right here is literally just from a Rick being moried by the dredge, which is how I got the close up on his face. But that's besides the point. They get hit over the head, they look back up, their eye is kind of bulging out like that, and then Negan proceeds to hit them in the back of the head again so that they're kind of face down on the ground. The camera will now pan up so it's kind of looking upwards at Negan, and then he's going to smack down right in front of the camera as blood sprays up kind of like a fountain. Imagine it kind of like the Nemesis's Mori, where it's just barely off screen, but you completely know what's happening. Now that that's out of the way, we can get to his animations, the fun and hopefully less brutal part. So this is what I call the clean animation. I'm pretty sure it's just an attack cooldown, but I call it the clean because most killers clean their weapon. When he hits a survivor, I imagine him kind of putting his hands out in like kind of like the angel pose, and then he'll say some sort of voice line saying like, "Oh, we're running again now, are we? How original," or saying some sort of just one-liner, you know? Then on to the palette break animation. The thing about like Negan is that he's literally just a human. There's nothing really special about him. But I wanted his animations to be kind of, unique. So instead of him just either kicking the palette to break it, I can imagine him giving it a kick to kind of weaken it and then swinging Lucille down just to smash it in half. For the damaging generators animation, he'd literally just kick it twice, let's be honest. It would just be a basic animation, just kicks the gen twice like every other killer in the game. Now, for the breakable wall animation, I think most killers get like their most unique animation from here. I can imagine him kind of doing the same, putting his arms out in the angel pose and looking over his shoulder before kind of getting serious and doing the biggest swing he can with the bat. And I was gonna do like a clip of him from The Walking Dead doing that, but I could not find anything online about him doing that pose. So like this is the best I could do, and I'm pretty sure this is like an action figure. Like I don't understand what the hell. Like I don't even get how is there not a single image of him with his head over his shoulder? I don't understand. We are finally at the part that you've all probably been waiting for. The power. What would Negan's power be? He's just a dude with a bat. What would it be? So, the title for the power I call Lucille's Thirst. After two basic attacks, Lucille, you can press, we'll say active ability button 1 or whatever the word is, and you'll be able to activate Lucille's Thirst. You can then pick a survivor, and then he'll pull out a walkie-talkie and he'll talk to Dwight, which is, he'll say a voice on like, D, tell me where they are. And you get to pick one of the 4 survivors there will be an arrow on the HUD, and you'll get to pick one of the 4 survivors, and you'll see their aura, including when they're in lockers. Funny. In the background footage, the locker opens. You'll actually get to see their aura, including in lockers, until they go down. And then he'll say, thanks, Dwight, or whatever. If you don't know who Dwight is this guy right here with the weird burn-faced weirdo. But then because that's kind of a boring power, let's be honest here. So, while you're in Lucille's Thirst, you can also go into like an overhead shot, which is when you'll enter the map by pressing active ability button 2, and you'll enter the map, which is an overhead view of the map with vaults and pallets highlighted in yellow. You can then place a walker where that would be, which is just be like a nemesis zombie. It would just stand there, which, let's be honest, that's not how zombies work in the movies. I mean, not movies, show. But the entity would probably do something cool with it or something. But it would stand there, and then if any survivor tried to use that resource, they would then get bit by the zombie. And if they were healthy, they go from healthy to deep wound, or if they were injured, then they go from injured to downed. So, if they were to, it's kind of like a trapping power. You would pick a survivor, you'd see where they are, and then you get to place down 3 walkers, which is the max amount of tokens you can have for the walkers, unless you have, we'll say, like an add-on, like an eerie add-on that gives you like 5. Then you can kind of trap them in an area where they have nowhere to go, otherwise they just die. But, I mean, there's a crazy skill ceiling, and I mean, there's almost like no way that, I mean, there's no reason to kind of play him rather than a character like Oni, who has about the same setup time and then has a way stronger power. So I also gave him an insta down. If you get in the range of old Tombstone Myers or like a Springtrap grab, then you'll be able to instantly hit them in the back of the leg and force them to kneel, just like this stock image right here. They'll be forced to kneel and they'll be stunned there for 10 seconds, and then you could swing down the bat from above your head and instantly down them, or you could just kind of let them stay there and they'll get up injured. That is how I think Negan can be implemented into Dead by Daylight as a killer. This video took so unbelievably long to make for no reason, so it would really help me out so I could actually continue doing videos like this if you subscribed, just give me some like confidence. Okay, fine. But if you have any other killers, like I've thought about doing like Predator and Jason for the same type of video. If you have any ideas for that, just let me know down in the comments and I'll hopefully get to it. And other than that, I'll catch you guys in the next video.